The last thing I like to watch is entertainers or actors.
Kurt Russell isn't one to hold back, and this time he's not just speaking out, he's taking a stand. The Hollywood legend has unleashed a bold and unapologetic rant against a woke culture, and the industry is furious. Known for his no-nonsense attitude and decades of iconic roles, Russell's latest comments are setting off shockwaves across Tinseltown. As Hollywood grapples with controversy, one of its most beloved stars is calling out what he sees as hypocrisy and double standards, leaving many in the industry fuming. This is a clash that's bound to get ugly, and Russell isn't backing down.
Things where, first of all, I was in a situation, we do what we call a dog and pony. Right. We're out doing the dog and pony selling a picture, and you get kind of sometimes.
In a recent interview, Kurt Russell, known for his iconic roles in Hollywood, made some headlines when he shared his thoughts on gun control and its connection to terrorism. The conversation began when Russell was asked about his stance on gun control laws and whether he believed they would deter terrorists. Feeling somewhat caught off guard by the question, Russell explained that the situation seemed like an ambush. He felt the interviewer had an agenda, which made him cautious about how he approached the topic. Russell highlighted an important distinction between the world of entertainment and real-life issues. He pointed out that as an actor, his job is to create fantasy. Whether it's through movies, television shows, or other forms of entertainment, his work is about telling stories that take people away from reality. However, when it comes to real-world issues like terrorism and gun control, he believes these are serious matters that require careful consideration and discussion. Russell made it clear that his views on these topics are separate from his work in Hollywood. He doesn't enjoy seeing entertainers get involved in political debates because he feels that it often complicates things and can take away from the seriousness of the issues at hand.
Writing a book, doing a movie, doing a television show, that's fantasy land. And that's where that stuff belongs. In reality, when we're dealing with things like terrorism and whatnot, we're all gonna have.
Diving deeper into the discussion, Russell shared his personal thoughts on gun control and the Second Amendment. He expressed a strong belief in the right to bear arms, which he feels is a fundamental part of American history and freedom. According to Russell, the Founding Fathers included the Second Amendment in the Constitution for a reason, to allow people to protect themselves against potential government overreach or tyranny. He referenced the American Civil War, suggesting that without the Second Amendment, those who fought for their beliefs wouldn't have had the chance to defend their way of life. To Russell, the right to bear arms is essential to maintaining the balance of power between the government and the people.
Fathers had for the Second Amendment, and that is that no government ever hasn't had to fight its own people, and its own people hasn't had to fight its own government. We had our Civil War. If that Second Amendment hadn't been there, those people.
Despite his support for the Second Amendment, Russell acknowledged that the debate around gun control is often more about the excesses related to gun ownership rather than the amendment itself. He noted that many people are concerned about the misuse of firearms and the potential dangers that come with them. Russell expressed disappointment that discussions around gun control often become heated and lose their civility. He believes that it is possible to have a respectful and productive conversation about gun laws without resorting to anger or hostility. He emphasized that finding common ground is crucial, especially when dealing with issues that affect everyone.
Defending their life, their way, their style of living. So I agree with that. I think that's an important part of our existence, and it's basically that simple.
Russell also touched on the emotional impact of terrorism and how it influences opinions on gun control. He recognized that when people experience the loss of a loved one due to violence, it can deeply affect their views on how such tragedies should be prevented. He understands that everyone has different perspectives and that these are often shaped by personal experiences. Russell emphasized that while people may have strong feelings about terrorism and gun control, it's important to keep an open mind and consider other viewpoints. He stressed that ultimately everyone is in this together and that finding a way to work together is key.
And kind of civil too, and that's hard to do. It's one of those things that, it's like I talked about, sometimes talking about terrorism. Whatever we do, we all have our opinion on that too. Whatever we do, we're a little late for people who've died.
As the conversation drew to a close, Russell was asked if he would continue to speak about political issues as an actor. He responded with a sense of reluctance, noting that he doesn't particularly enjoy discussing politics. However, he acknowledged that if he is asked about it, he will share his opinion. In a lighthearted moment, he expressed that if he has to be part of these discussions, he's glad to be doing it alongside someone he respects.
I got a strong feeling that one's opinion has a tendency to change. So just
Through
leave
this
it open
interview,
for-
Kurt Russell offered a nuanced perspective on gun control and the role of entertainers in political debates. He reminded everyone of the importance of separating entertainment from real-life issues and the need for thoughtful, respectful discussions on matters that impact all of us. His words serve as a call for unity and understanding, even in the face of divisive topics.
Yeah, I don't understand the concepts of conversation of the gun culture. We've lived with guns since...
In a recent discussion, Kurt Russell shared his thoughts on the complex and historically rooted topic of gun culture. He began by highlighting that guns have been a part of human history for centuries, tracing their significance back to the 7th century. This long-standing presence underscores how deeply ingrained firearms are in societal structures and personal identities. Guns have evolved from practical tools to powerful symbols that resonate with various groups.
Because they're being
You can say what you want. I don't agree with that. So it's not my thing.
but it's
So, you know.
statistically
Well, you can look. If you think
Russell described guns as more than just physical objects. They have become symbols or totems for certain people, particularly those who feel disenfranchised. He pointed out that for some, especially disenfranchised white men, guns serve as a metaphor for empowerment and self-worth. This symbolic role is significant because it helps us understand why some individuals might cling so tightly to their firearms despite changing societal norms and laws.
don't have the concepts of how to turn it around and say, you know,
When discussing gun control, Russell expressed a strong skepticism about its effectiveness. He argued that simply enacting more gun control measures might not alter the mindset of those determined to cause harm, such as terrorists. According to him, these individuals often find ways to bypass regulations and continue their harmful activities. This viewpoint challenges the belief that stricter gun laws will significantly impact those with malicious intent.
as you call it, to something of reality.
Russell suggested a more proactive approach to dealing with threats, drawing an analogy from sports. He likened it to a hockey game where a player facing an aggressive opponent needs to take decisive action. By shifting the focus from just controlling access to firearms to actively addressing and confronting threats, he believes society could better manage the risks associated with gun culture. This approach, he argued, would lead to a more realistic understanding of gun culture and its implications.
we're on the no-fly list. No-fly list because of terrorist connections can get a gun.
In reference to former President Obama's stance on gun control, Russell acknowledged a significant point. Individuals on the no-fly list can still easily acquire guns. This issue highlights a gap in the effectiveness of current regulations. Russell expanded this concern to other means of violence, such as bombs, knives, and vehicles, suggesting that focusing solely on gun control might not address the broader issue of violence.
That way. Haven't they? Yeah. Yeah. So what are you going to do? Outlaw everything? That isn't the answer.
The discussion also touched on the potential consequences of stringent gun control measures. Russell argued that outlawing firearms or imposing severe restrictions might prevent law-abiding citizens from defending themselves. He emphasized that while controlling access to guns is important, it should not come at the cost of diminishing the ability of responsible individuals to protect themselves and others.
Believe they're not going to? Are you serious about that?
Yeah,
Are you
make it
seriously?
harder.
What good will that? Oh my God! You and I just disagree.
Okay.
You and I just disagree.
Despite the strong opinions on both sides, Russell acknowledged the complexity of the debate. He recognized that there are fundamentally different perspectives on how to approach gun control and its impact on society. This acknowledgement of differing views reflects the broader societal debate over how to balance safety and individual rights.
Your way of life away from you. I think you can control that.
No, I didn't say
And
that.
there's only one thing you can do with that.
Russell's perspective on gun culture and control offers a thought-provoking view on a deeply divisive issue. He stresses the need for a balanced approach that addresses both the symbolic significance of guns and the practical realities of violence. By examining these aspects, Russell invites a broader discussion on how to effectively navigate the challenges posed by gun culture and ensure both safety and personal freedoms.